At first, it looked like a joke. A bright green BMW M3 rolled up to the line, lighter, cheaper, and laughably outgunned. Facing it was the M5 competition, the king of the saloon ring, packed with a 617 horsepower V8 and all-wheel drive that could launch it like a missile. On paper, this wasn't a race. It was an execution waiting to happen. But when the lights went green and the tires stopped spinning, something went horribly wrong, not for the underdog, but for the car BMW designed to be unbeatable. The green car started winning. And the car with the M5 badge started losing. This is the story of how BMW's own engineering betrayed its flagship. This is the drag race that broke the M division's old rulebook. For decades, car enthusiasts lived by a simple, unshakable hierarchy: the M5 is the big brother. The M3 is the little brother. You don't bring a six-cylinder to a V8 fight, and you don't expect a tuned sedan to embarrass the company's most expensive sports saloon. But in 2019, the tuners at Evolve Automotive did the unthinkable. They took an F80 M3 competition, painted it in a searing Verde Mantis green, fitted hybrid turbos, a new intake, a custom exhaust, and an aggressive engine tune, and extracted 605 horsepower from its 3.0-liter straight-six. They called it Project Viper. Then they pointed it at a bone-stock F90 M5 competition. No modifications. No tricks. Just 617 horsepower of factory German muscle. The goal wasn't just to beat the M5. The goal was to prove that BMW's engineering philosophy, adding more weight, more power, and more electronic band-aids, had lost its way. And when Matt Watson from CarWow lined them up, the automotive world watched to see if a tuned Baby M could slay the king. The tension should have been comical. The M5 competition packed a 4.4-liter twin-turbo V8 that delivered 553 lb-ft of torque, brutal, chest-thumping, neck-snapping power. The M3, by contrast, had a humble 3.0-liter straight-six that, even tuned, only produced 540 to 605 horsepower depending on the setup. But the secret wasn't hiding in the engine bay. It was hiding in the spec sheet numbers that nobody wanted to talk about. The M5 competition weighs 4,122 to 4,370 pounds, depending on options and configuration. It's a luxury grand tourer dressed up as a sports car, loaded with sound deadening, electronics, leather, and mass. The M3, by contrast, weighs just 351 pounds. That's nearly 1,000 pounds lighter. Nearly half a ton. And in drag racing, weight is physics. Matt Watson, the host, knew this. To level the playing field, he did something controversial. He switched the M5 into its secret 2WD mode. The F90 M5 has a trick all-wheel drive system that can decouple the front axles, sending 100% of the power to the rear wheels. But here's the catch: when you do that, the traction control is completely disabled. No stability. No safety net. Imran from Evolve, sitting in the green M3, did the same. He turned off traction control completely. Now both cars had over 600 horsepower. Both were rear-wheel drive. Both had no electronic babysitters. And both drivers knew that one mistake meant spinning into the barrier. The stage was set. But nobody, not even Imran, knew what happened next. The car staged. The revs climbed. The camera zoomed in. And then, disaster for the M5. From a standing start, the M5's massive V8 launched hard. Its sophisticated suspension kept the nose down, and for the first few car lengths, the M5 pulled ahead like it was supposed to. But then something strange happened. The green M3 didn't fade. It started clawing back. Inch by inch. Foot by foot. By the time they crossed the quarter-mile mark, the impossible had happened. The M3 had nearly erased the deficit. But the real humiliation came in the rolling race. In third gear, at 50 miles per hour, both drivers slammed their throttles simultaneously. There was no launch control. No computer intervention. Just raw power transmitted through two rear axles and two terrified drivers. And immediately, the M3 started pulling ahead. Not by a fender. By feet. The M5 driver, more experienced, in a more expensive car, could do nothing but watch the green taillights grow smaller. Carwow's own data confirms it. While the M5 officially does 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds, independent tests show it often struggles in rear-wheel drive mode, managing 3.8 seconds to 60 miles per hour. The M3, despite having less horsepower, simply hooks up better. It rotates better. It carries its speed through the trap better. The trap speed comparison is brutal. The M3 hits 132.36 mph in the quarter mile, while the M5 does just 129.02 mph. That number, 3 full miles per hour, is the difference between winning and losing. You could see it in the driver's body language. The M5 driver was fighting the wheel, battling the physics of a heavy car trying to turn horsepower into forward motion. The M3 driver was carving. One car was surviving. The other was thriving. But here's where the heartbreak sets in if you're a BMW purist. This race wasn't actually a win for the M3. It was an indictment of the M5. How could BMW's flagship, the car that costs twice as much, wears the most prestigious badge, and represents the pinnacle of M Division engineering, be dragged into a photo finish by its smaller sibling, let alone lose? The experts realized the brutal truth: over 600 horsepower is simply too much for traditional rear-wheel drive to handle efficiently. The M5, in its stock form, relies on all-wheel drive to survive. The moment you turn that off to level the playing field, the M5 becomes a shadow of itself. It fishtails. It fights for grip. It reminds you that 4,200 pounds of luxury sedan was never meant to drift down a drag strip. But that's not the worst part. The worst part is what this says about BMW's design philosophy. Look at the M5's on-paper advantages: 617 horsepower, all-wheel drive, advanced launch control, and a chassis built by the best engineers in Germany. And yet, in the real world, with traction control off, with both cars in identical conditions, the M5 loses. BMW didn't build a bad car. They built a car so monstrously powerful that it needs a digital crutch to function. And that crutch, the all-wheel drive system, is also the thing that makes it heavy, numb, and ultimately slower when the computers are turned off. The F90 M5 in 2WD mode is a tragedy. It's a 4,200-pound paperweight with 617 horsepower and no way to use it. The M3, with less power but better weight distribution, simply drives. The industry takeaway was seismic, and it didn't end in 2019. History repeated itself in 2025. Car reviewers from Sweden and the UK recently lined up the new BMW M3 Touring against the new M5 Touring, the high-performance wagon versions of both cars. On paper, the M5 should dominate. It has 727 horsepower to the M3's 530. It has a plug-in hybrid system for instant torque. It should be untouchable. And yet, Joe Achilles, a British automotive journalist who has driven M-cars for decades, conducted the test. He lined up the M3 Touring and the M5 Touring on the same road. Same driver. Same conditions. And the M3 won. 0 to 96 km per hour? The M3 did it in 3.16 seconds. The M5 needed 3.28 seconds. 0.12 of a second may sound small. But in drag racing, it's an eternity. And the margin reveals a deeper problem. The new M5 Touring weighs nearly 2.5 tons, over 5,500 pounds. That's more than many full-size pickup trucks. The M3 Touring, by contrast, is nearly half a ton lighter. And on real roads, with bumps, corners, and imperfect surfaces, that weight difference becomes a chasm. The M3 Touring is just a better package, Achilles concluded. It's a little more fun when you push it hard because it's smaller, more nimble. Even the interior quality tells a story. Achilles noted that the M5 feels cheaper and more compromised compared to the carefully built, high-quality M3. The flagship, the most expensive M car you can buy, feels worse inside than its cheaper sibling. The reason BMW got it wrong isn't about a lack of power. It's about physics. And physics doesn't care about brand hierarchy. The M5 competition, at 4,370 pounds, simply has too much mass for its chassis to handle when the grip is limited. The M3, across generations, proves that agility, weight savings, and balance are just as valuable as cylinder count. The data backs this up. In multiple independent tests, the lighter M3 platform consistently posted faster trap speeds in the quarter mile than the heavier M5, even when the M5 had more horsepower. Trap speed is the purest measure of power-to-weight ratio and aerodynamics. And the M3 keeps winning. BMW has reached a ceiling. You can only add power for so long before the car becomes a heavy, undrivable missile. At some point, more horsepower stops translating into more speed. It just translates into more mass, more electronics, and more driver frustration. So where does this leave the legacy of the M5? It forced BMW to evolve, or perhaps, to devolve. Look at the current generation. The M5 now comes standard with hybrid technology and massive power figures that absolutely destroy the M3 in a straight line, but only when the computers are fully engaged. The moment you turn off the all-wheel drive, the M5 is lost. But there's a more uncomfortable truth here. What if the M5, this legendary badge, this icon of German engineering, no longer has a valid reason to exist? What if the M3 has simply surpassed it? Think about it. The M3 offers 90% of the M5's performance for 60% of the price. It offers better handling, lower weight, and according to experts like Joe Achilles, a higher quality interior. The only thing the M5 offers is more size, more luxury, and more weight. And those aren't advantages anymore. They're compromises. The era of the Project Viper race taught us that sometimes, the big brother doesn't win the fight. The green M3 didn't just win a drag race that day. It exposed the limit of brute force, the tyranny of weight, and the danger of assuming that more power is always the answer. The automotive world learned something that BMW engineers may have known all along: the ultimate driving machine isn't the one with the biggest engine. It's the one that makes you feel the road instead of fighting it. As one reviewer put it, 1 minute it's a really comfortable and practical 3 Series. The next minute it's a rocket. Incredible. The M5 used to be that car. Now, it's just heavy. And that's how BMW got it so wrong. They forgot that light is always right.